These snaps were all taken on the distant early warning line in the Canadian Arctic, where I went to work and do some thinking after only a year in Regina. It was the military front line of the Cold War, with B-52s carrying nuclear weapons, constantly circling overhead, ready to pounce on Russia if necessary. After 15 months I came home, and a year later started studying heroin addiction, then cannabis, then cocaine in London. Perhaps I should have made it clear before I talked about hypnosis that I did not go on that course simply because I thought it was an awesome idea. It was a television program in the 50s that had first aroused my interest. In it, two Harley Street psychiatrists demonstrated some of its properties. I learned that it was possible to use hypnotic suggestion to make people go against their better natures by giving them a plausible reason for doing so. For example, in the program, a subject whose better nature caused him to refuse to smash a vase after a suggestion to do so, happily obliged when it was suggested that the vase be smashed because it was cracked. As a teenager, I had learned from a book I found in Father's library how to systematically relax and practiced it regularly. Although it came in very useful, I was never actually able to hypnotize myself. By the time I went to Regina, the theory of hypnosis that I had developed in my mind was that the process of induction had the effect of making an individual feel more secure, thus neutralizing the effects of adrenaline. Soon after I returned from the course in Banff, I was able to put this theory to the test. I was called one day to visit a woman complaining of headaches, nausea, and vomiting. She was young and married, but with no children, and lying on a bed in a darkened room, moaning, groaning, weeping, and retching intermittently into an enamel potty. On a table by the bed stood an array of bottles containing sleeping pills and tranquilizers. They were all the latest products in double strength to be taken in double doses. They'd been prescribed by a psychiatrist. It was clear that her symptoms were all hysterically exaggerated, and that the clinical equivalent of a slap across the face was indicated. I looked slowly round the room and walked over to the blinds, releasing one so that it sprang up with a loud snap to let in some light. Then I looked at the patient and said, "Clearly, those bloody pills are not doing you any bloody good." The effect was electric. The groaning and retching stopped and was replaced by a gentle sobbing. I sat calmly on the edge of the bed and felt her pulse in such a way as to hold her hand. I sympathized with her condition and asked how long she had been ill, but she was too upset to give much of a history, except that she had been in and out of mental hospitals for years. I said I thought I might be able to help her, instructed her to take no more pills except perhaps a sleeping pill that night, and that if she would like to discuss her difficulties at greater length, I would be happy to see her at the surgery next day. I left her with the responsibility of making the necessary appointment. This treatment, brief though it was, reassured her and gave her some hope. I had taken her symptoms seriously, so that the need to exaggerate them had been removed. Immediately she felt more secure and therefore felt better. She arrived next day looking very pale, but had not been bothered by headache or vomiting since my visit. We discussed her case. Every available treatment seemed to have been tried, ECT, insulin, and so forth, and every tranquilizer or antidepressant one could name. Someone had even tried hypnosis, but she was not a good subject. I pointed out that perhaps hypnosis had failed because she was frightened of letting herself relax properly. She agreed. I then said perhaps it would help if I taught her how to relax. At this she brightened and readily agreed. I told her to lie on the examination couch and proceeded to instruct her in the systematic relaxation I had learned as a teenager. As I hoped, she responded well, allowing herself to relax, and spontaneously entered a light hypnotic trance. I gave her a post-hypnotic suggestion for reinduction in order to simplify future sessions if necessary. Then I performed an age regression to the age of 4, the age when people first become aware of metaphysical fear, become frightened of the dark, for example. Without stopping to probe, I started bringing her back to the present. In doing so, I pointed out that as she got older, she got physically stronger, had more courage, was less easily frightened, and increasingly able to do things for herself. When adolescence was reached, I drew attention to the fact that she had changed from a girl into a woman and become more self-reliant and less dependent on others. After I wakened her, I informed her that she had in fact been hypnotized, that she was a better subject than we had supposed, and that she was clearly not so ill as we had previously thought. Her manner and bearing had completely changed. It was as if a penny had dropped in her mind. She now had the calm, confidence, dignity, and poise of a grown woman. Her whole personality had become more solid. She was now looking at the world through the eyes of a grown woman rather than a frightened child. I followed her up for 3 months without further therapeutic intervention, and her remission of symptoms was maintained. I have now made 9 videos. Before making more, I prefer to give more people a chance to view them. So that I can be more certain about their popularity, it would help if viewers commented or subscribed. Goodbye for now.